Imagine if you were a spinning coin. One side represents one race, and the other side another. Eventually, that coin will stop spinning, and one side will be facing upward. Yet, nobody ever stops to think about the other side. Being multiracial is being ambiguous. Two sides of the same coin, living in the midst of racial duality.
Race is a construct that white people invented to justify the suppression of, what we now call minority people, right? Because they're like, we can't be treating human beings the way that we're treating these people. So how can we, take all the economic advantages that we get from mistreating people, but also feel good about ourselves as moral, Christian folks? They said, well, let's make up this idea called race and say that, okay, we're humans, but we're different types of humans, right? And this type of human, you can treat them in a way different from the way you treat other types of humans.
My mom often tells a story about in high school, me literally wanting to have two parties for my birthday, one for my white friends and one for everybody else, because I just wasn't comfortable navigating the fact that none of them were friends with one another.
I thought I was just a funny looking black person, okay? I didn't realize I was mixed race until one day my father actually told me, he was like, no, your grandmother, my paternal grandmother, who I never met because she died before I was born, is full-blooded East Indian. And I was like, oh, it makes a lot more sense, right? I'm not a funny-looking black person. I'm black in other things.
Each racial group has this set of stereotypes and expectations set upon them even before birth. But as mixed race individuals, we don't fit those standards and we don't fit those stereotypes. Therefore, society feels the need to classify us and put us in this one category in order to really be able to have control over us. Do you ever feel the need to pick one identity over the other in order to please others?
All the goddamn time! Oh my god, that's such a mood. When I was like 8 years old, I had a very firm identity crisis, and I felt like I'm just gonna pick a side because I have to. Because people are confused by me, and I didn't want to feel left out or weird, so I was just like, I'm just gonna be white. And I would just be like, when people ask, what are you racially? I'd just be like, I'm Irish or whatever. And at that point, I wouldn't speak Spanish with my parents anymore at home, and when they tried, I would start crying because I was afraid, because I felt like I didn't have the right to be Hispanic, or I wasn't a good enough Hispanic.
Yes, I definitely believe that society pushes mixed race individuals to choose a side. And I believe that they do that because we're uncomfortable, particularly in this country, with ambiguity. We just want everything to be properly packaged, and then it's one thing. And if you're female, you should dress like this and look like this and be like this. And if you're male, you should dress like this and look like this and be like this. And if you're black, you should be this, and white, you should be... We are obsessed with that. And so I think we, like everyone else, is forced to identify as one because people are not comfortable with us being many.
Most people just, I think, feel threatened by the encounter of someone that they can't contain within a box that makes sense to them. They see me, and it's almost like a challenge to the way in which they view the world. Because we view the world, I think a lot of us at least, through these boxes that we're made to fill out, right? Black, white, Asian. And then you see somebody and you're like, what box are you? And that's a scary thing. Because all of a sudden, the structure that you've created to understand the reality that you live in starts making less sense. And so what I realize is, for a lot of people, for me to tell them this is what I am, is actually to comfort that fear that they have of, oh my goodness, the way in which I'm looking at the world can't describe this piece of the world that's in front of me right now. That piece being me.
How did I feel in the past when I was excluded by a group because I wasn't one race? It was devastating. I don't feel the pain of it now, but even in trying to remember it, I know how painful that was, because it's a human thing to need to be accepted when you're young and to be part of a community. It was very, very painful because I was being judged for something I couldn't control. I had no control over who I was or how I was made. It was very painful.
it's like little things, but I can be on the bus, and since I live in such a Hispanic neighborhood, I know to say permiso because most people don't speak English, and they'll just look at me and they're like, okay. And it's just like a little moment where it's like I know they expected me to be white or to not know that word or something, and it just makes me feel alienated.
Because race is a social construction, the idea of mixed race changes depending upon which society you're in. Being or not being mixed is largely defined by the social structures in which you fit into.
I don't really think there's any specific way that you're supposed to act if you are like of a specific race, even whether like you're mixed or not, because it's kind of just like
It stereotypes kids.
this is like your personality, you know,
Yeah.
like the way that you grew up. If you grew up in a family that like, you know, is that fits like the Latino stereotype,
yeah.
you know, then you're most likely gonna like also adopt those Latino stereotypes because of the fact that it's kind of just like, you know, because of the people that you grew around. You feel me?
Yeah, and I grew around both types of people. Like I grew around stereotypical Latinos, and I grew up around like shy white people like myself. So, but there are shy Latinos and there are loud white people.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
I did not think about the struggles that our kids might face as children who are mixed race because I don't see myself as having mixed race children. I have children. I have 2 daughters who are smart and kind and funny and quirky and nerdy and a physical representation of our love, and they're human beings.
There is no textbook that teaches you how to be mixed race, and it's not always that simple living in this duality. However, one thing is for certain. Being mixed race, we are given a gift of knowledge and kindness that we can share with the people around us. And by embracing our duality, we are embracing ourselves for the whole human beings that we are. Besides, you are you, and nothing in this world can change that.